Let me ask you something real. When was the last time you looked in the mirror and truly saw the person staring back at you? Not just your reflection, but your potential. You see deep down, you know you were made for more. There's a voice inside you that whispers, I can be more. I can do more. I can have more. But life has a way of making us forget that. Somewhere along the way, you started shrinking your dreams to fit your comfort zone instead of expanding your actions to meet your destiny. And here's the truth. 2026 is coming whether you're ready or not. It doesn't care about your excuses, your fears, or your doubts. Only give you what you're willing to demand from yourself. So the question isn't, what will this year bring? The real question is, will you become in it? Because you owe it to yourself, not to anyone else, to rise up this year. You owe it to yourself to break the patterns that have kept you stuck. You owe it to yourself to stop waiting for the right time and start creating the right time. This year is not another chapter in your story. It's the turning point. Listen, you've given so much of your energy to people, to jobs, to situations that didn't serve your growth. You fought battles no one saw. You've carried pain no one thanked you for. You've survived storms that could have broken anyone else. But you're still here, still standing, still breathing. That means one thing, your story isn't done yet. So as you hear these words today, I want you to make a decision, not just to listen, but to commit. Commit to becoming the person you were always meant to be. Commit to giving yourself the focus, the discipline, and the belief you've been giving everyone else. Because this time, it's not about proving anything to the world. It's about proving it to yourself. Owe it to yourself to make 2026 the year everything changes, not by luck, not by chance, but by choice. And by the end of this speech, I promise you, you'll feel that fire again. The one you thought you lost, that's been waiting for permission to come alive. You owe it to yourself to stop waiting and start owning your life. That's where everything changes. Most people spend years waiting for something outside of themselves to shift before they take control. Waiting for the economy to improve, for motivation to strike, for someone to recognize their worth, or for circumstances to become easier. Let me tell you something that will set you free. Nothing changes until you decide it will. Ownership is the first step toward transformation. It's when you stop handing your power to the world and start realizing you had it in your hands the whole time. You see, waiting is the quiet killer of potential. Waiting feels safe because it gives you an excuse. It lets you say, not there yet because it's not the right time. But that right time never comes. There will always be something missing. A little more money, a little more confidence, a little more clarity. You can spend your whole life preparing for the perfect moment and miss the truth. The perfect moment is now. It's never been about readiness. It's about decision. The second you decide that your future is your responsibility, everything begins to move. Every person who's ever built a life of meaning, success, or freedom had to face that moment. That line between who they were and who they wanted to be. And it's never a comfortable moment because ownership doesn't feel good at first. It forces you to look at your patterns, your habits, your mindset, and admit, I created this, not life, not luck, not someone else, me. But the beauty in that realization is this: if you created this reality, you can create a better one. If you built the prison, you can also build the door. When you stop waiting, you begin to see possibilities that were always there. Your mind starts to shift from, why is this happening to me? To, what can I do with this? That question alone changes your energy, because the moment you ask it, you move from being a victim of your circumstances to being the creator of your destiny. And that shift, that's where growth lives. That's where your strength is born. Look, I know what it's like to feel stuck, to feel like life is happening faster than you can catch up. But being stuck is just the illusion of control you've given away. When you stop waiting for motivation and start creating momentum, everything begins to move in your favor. Doesn't reward wishers, it rewards doors. The people you admire didn't wait until they felt confident. They acted their way into confidence. They didn't wait until the fear disappeared. They moved with the fear. Because courage isn't the absence of fear, it's ownership of it. It's saying, this scares me, but I'm doing it anyway. And here's what's wild. The moment you start owning your life, you realize how much power you've been leaving on the table. You begin to see that no one is coming to save you, but no one needs to, because you have everything you need to save yourself. Ownership gives you control over your story again. It stops you from blaming the past and starts you building the future. It makes you dangerous in the best way possible because you're no longer waiting for permission to live fully. This is your year to stop asking for guarantees and start betting on yourself. Stop waiting for signs. Stop waiting for someone to validate your worth. Stop waiting for your circumstances to align. You are the alignment. You are the turning point. Every time you take responsibility for your energy, your decisions, your reactions, you reclaim a piece of your power. You start to realize that it's not about what happens to you, it's about what you choose to do next. The truth is, ownership requires honesty. You can't transform what you refuse to face. Maybe you've been inconsistent. Maybe you've been procrastinating. Maybe you've been settling. Own it. Don't run from it, because once you own it, you can change it. Ownership isn't about guilt, it's about growth. It's the doorway to freedom. The kind of freedom that comes from knowing no one else gets to write your story but you. And here's the magic: when you start owning your life, the universe responds differently. Opportunities appear not because they weren't there before, but because now you can see them. Your energy changes. People start to feel it. You stop attracting excuses and start attracting results. You begin to trust yourself again, not because everything is easy, but because you finally understand that you are capable of handling it. So if you're sitting there thinking you're waiting for the right time to begin, stop. This is it. This is your sign. This is your year to rise, to act, to own every single part of who you are. Because nothing will ever shift until you make that decision. The decision to stop waiting and start owning your life. And the moment you do, you'll realize you never needed the perfect time. You just needed the courage to begin. You owe it to yourself in 2026 to raise your standards, because your life will never exceed the level of what you're willing to tolerate. Every result you see right now, your relationships, your health, your income, your emotions, all of it is a reflection of the standards you set for yourself. Most people don't realize this. They think success is about having the right strategy, the right opportunity, or the right connections. But the truth is, strategy follows standards. You can have every tool in the world, but if your standards are low, you'll sabotage every opportunity that comes your way. If you want a better life, you have to expect more from yourself than anyone else ever could. You have to stop settling for average, stop saying it's fine, when deep down you know it's not. Because every time you lower your standards, you train your mind to accept less than you deserve. And when you accept less, you start living beneath your potential. You start shrinking who you are to fit a version of life that doesn't excite you anymore. Here's what's powerful. The moment you raise your standards, everything around you begins to shift. Your thoughts change, your energy changes, your behavior changes. And suddenly, what once felt impossible starts to feel inevitable. Raising your standards isn't about arrogance, it's about alignment. It's saying, I know who I am and I refuse to live in a way that dishonors that. It's not about wanting more things, it's about becoming more. Because when you become more, everything in your life rises to match that level. Most people try to upgrade their circumstances without upgrading themselves. They want a better job but keep the same habits. They want deeper relationships but hold on to the same insecurities. They want more money but still think like someone struggling to survive. You can't expect an extraordinary life with ordinary standards. Think about it, your standards are like the thermostat of your life. No matter what happens, you'll always return to the level of what you truly believe you deserve. You might have moments of success, but if your standard for effort, discipline, or self-respect is low, you'll eventually drop back down to that level. People who create lasting change are the ones who permanently raise the thermostat, who say, this is who I am now and I'll never go back. The reason most people never do this is because raising your standards demands discomfort. It means saying no to instant gratification. It means doing the hard thing even when no one's watching. It means being willing to outgrow people's habits and environments that keep you small. And that's not easy, but it's necessary, because comfort is the enemy of greatness. Every time you choose comfort over growth, you're choosing to stay in the same place while your potential rots unused. But when you raise your standards, something incredible happens. Your world expands. You begin to attract different people, different opportunities, different conversations. You stop being interested in drama, negativity, and distractions because your energy doesn't match that anymore. You start to value your peace, your progress, your purpose. And that's when the real transformation begins. If you want 2026 to be your breakthrough year, stop asking what you need to get and start asking who you need to become. Because the version of you that achieves those dreams already has higher standards for discipline, for focus, for self-care, for the company you keep. Every breakthrough begins with a decision to never go back to the old way of living. So ask yourself honestly, what are you tolerating right now that you know you shouldn't? What areas of your life have you been calling good enough when you know it's draining your energy, your confidence, and your joy? You owe it to yourself to stop accepting things that insult your potential. Whether it's a toxic habit, a one-sided relationship, or the way you talk to yourself, it's time to raise the bar, because the standards you set are the boundaries of your future. And raising your standards doesn't mean perfection. It means refusing to settle. It means holding yourself accountable, not out of guilt, but out of love. It means deciding that you'll no longer negotiate with your excuses. Every time that voice in your head says, it's okay, I'll do it later, you respond, no, this is who I am now. I show up, I follow through. Rise. That's the language of someone who's rewriting their story. When you commit to higher standards, your confidence grows because you start keeping promises to yourself. You start trusting yourself again. And when that happens, you stop depending on external validation because you've built internal strength. You no longer wait for approval. You become the approval. You walk differently, you think differently, and people can feel that energy. So if there's one decision you make this year, let it be this: raise your standards and refuse to lower them for anyone or anything. Demand more from your life, from your habits, from your mindset. Chase success, attract it by becoming someone who naturally lives at that level. Because the moment you stop settling for less, life starts giving you more. That's when 2026 stops being just another year and becomes the year you finally became who you were meant to be. Everything starts in the mind. Every dream, every failure, every comeback, it all begins with what happens inside your head. You can change your job, your city, your relationships, even your appearance. But if you don't change your thinking, your life will eventually drift back to the same patterns. You can't build a new reality with an old mindset. You owe it to yourself to rewire your mind before you try to rebuild your life. Most people are trying to create new results with the same mental programming that created their old problems. They say they want success, but their beliefs whisper, you're not good enough. They say they want abundance, but their thoughts scream, you'll never make it. They want love, but they've trained their mind to expect pain. That's why they end up repeating the same cycles again and again, not because they're broken, but because their mind is running an outdated code. You can't win a new game using last year's playbook. Your mind is the control center of everything. It doesn't give you what you want. It gives you what you believe. If you believe you're not worthy, your brain will filter out every opportunity that proves you wrong. If you believe success is for other people, you'll find a way to sabotage anything that brings you close to it. And the truth is, your brain is doing exactly what you've trained it to do, protect you from pain. But here's the irony, that same protection is the very thing keeping you stuck. We've all been conditioned since childhood, shaped by experiences, environments, and voices that told us who we are and what we can't do. Maybe someone said you weren't smart enough, strong enough, capable enough. Maybe you failed once. Your mind decided that failure meant you should never try again. But those old voices don't define you. They're echoes of a past version of you, a version that didn't know its power yet. The moment you realize you are not your thoughts, the thinker behind them, everything begins to change. Rewiring your mind isn't about pretending everything's perfect or forcing positive thoughts. It's about awareness. It's about catching those old beliefs in the act and replacing them with something stronger. It's about deciding that you're no longer available for self-doubt, guilt, or fear. When that inner voice says, you can't, you challenge it. You ask, why not me? Every time you question a limiting belief, you weaken its grip and strengthen your confidence. That's mental training. That's the real work. See, your thoughts are like seeds. Whatever you plant consistently grows. If you plant fear, you'll harvest hesitation. If you plant excuses, you'll harvest regret. But if you plant belief, discipline, and vision, you'll harvest a life that feels unstoppable. The people who seem to have unshakable confidence aren't born that way. They've trained their minds. They've conditioned themselves to focus on possibility, not problems. They've learned that fear is just a signal, not a stop sign, a message saying you're about to grow. Every day, you have a choice to feed the voice of power or the voice of doubt. Whichever one you feed becomes your reality. That's why rituals matter. That's why what you listen to, think about daily matters more than you realize, because your environment is constantly shaping your thoughts, and your thoughts are shaping your destiny. If you want to change your life, start by changing what your mind consumes. Feed its strength truth. Gratitude, train it to focus on what's in your control instead of what's missing. The real transformation begins when you stop reacting to life and start designing it from within. You realize your thoughts are not random. They're intentional. You can choose them. You can redirect them. You can design the way you feel. Because emotions don't just happen. They're the product of meaning, focus, and language. When you master those, you master your mind. Imagine walking into every day knowing that your thoughts are aligned with your goals, that your inner dialogue is working for you, not against you. Imagine replacing every what if I fail with what if I fly. That's not fantasy. That's the result of training your mind to see differently, because when you rewire your thinking, your actions follow effortlessly. You start making decisions that reflect confidence instead of fear, purpose instead of confusion. And soon your outer world starts catching up to your inner transformation. You owe it to yourself to think greater than your current reality. You owe it to yourself to stop replaying the past and start programming the future. Your mind is your most powerful weapon, but only if you take control of it. Don't let your past beliefs dictate your future identity. You're not who you were. You decide to become over and over again. So as you step into 2026, make a choice to train your mind daily, to challenge the old stories, to build new beliefs, and to speak the language of possibility. Because the moment you rewire your mind, the entire world starts to shift. And that's when your life finally begins to match the power of your potential. You owe it to yourself in 2026 to protect your energy like your life depends on it, because it truly does. Your energy is your foundation. It's the fuel that powers your focus, your creativity, your relationships, and your ability to show up fully in the world. But most people treat it like it's endless. They give it away to every distraction, every drama, every demand that comes their way, and then wonder why they feel empty, tired, or uninspired. You can't build a powerful life from an exhausted spirit. You can't create greatness while running on fumes. Every single day, you wake up with a limited amount of emotional, physical, mental energy. And how you spend that energy determines what kind of life you live. Think about it. How often do you let negative people, useless worries, or meaningless habits drain that power before the day even begins? You scroll through social media, comparing yourself to people you don't even know. You replay old arguments in your head. You give your time to people who take and never give. You say yes to things that don't align with your values because you're afraid to disappoint someone. And every one of those moments is a withdrawal from your energy account. But the truth is, no one's coming to refill that account for you. It's your job to protect it, nurture it, and invest it in what truly matters. Protecting your energy doesn't mean shutting the world out. It means being intentional about what you let in. It means understanding that you don't have to attend every argument you're invited to. You don't have to explain your piece to people who thrive on chaos. You don't have to justify your boundaries to anyone, because boundaries aren't walls. They're doors that only open for what nourishes your soul. Some people won't understand this shift. They'll say you've changed. They'll say you're distant. What you've really done is stop participating in your own depletion. You've decided that your growth, your peace, and your purpose are no longer negotiable. And that decision will offend the people who benefited from your lack of boundaries. That's okay. You're not here to make everyone comfortable. You're here to make yourself whole. When you protect your energy, you start noticing who drains you and who refuels you. You start paying attention to how certain environments make you feel, not just what they look like. You start realizing that not every conversation deserves your presence, and not every opportunity deserves your effort. You begin to see that peace is not the absence of noise, it's the mastery of focus. Protecting your energy is about choosing peace over pressure, clarity over chaos, and growth over guilt. And it's not just about people, it's also about habits. Thoughts you repeat, the routines you follow, the information you consume. All of it either feeds your fire or kills it. If you wake up and immediately fill your mind with stress, comparison, or negativity, you're poisoning your potential before the day even starts. Your morning energy is sacred. It sets the tone for everything that follows. So use it wisely. Read something empowering. Move your body. Breathe. Set an intention. Do something that centers you before the world pulls you in 100 directions. Because the world will always demand more from you than you have to give unless you learn to protect your own capacity. And here's something most people never realize. You protect your energy, you amplify your impact, you become more present, you make clearer decisions. You stop chasing validation because you're already grounded in your worth. You start attracting people and opportunities that match your vibration instead of ones that drain it. You operate from power, not pressure, from clarity, not chaos. That's the space where true strength lives. Protecting your energy also requires courage. It means walking away from what no longer serves you, even if it once did. It means letting go of relationships that drain you, habits that numb you, and environments that stunt your growth. It means understanding that saying no is not selfish, it's self-respect. And sometimes the most loving thing you can do for yourself is to step back and breathe, because you can't pour from an empty cup. You can't lift others while you're sinking. If you want 2026 to be your year of breakthrough, make this your daily mission. Protect your peace like it's sacred, because it is. Guard your focus like it's treasure, because it is. Invest your energy only in things that align with your purpose, because that's what builds a life worth living. The truth is, every time you protect your energy, you send a message to the universe that you value yourself. You declare that your time, peace, your joy, they matter. So stop apologizing for choosing yourself. Stop explaining your boundaries. Stop feeling guilty for wanting quiet in a world addicted to noise. You owe it to yourself to create a life that feels calm on the inside, not just impressive on the outside. Because the moment you begin to protect your energy, you stop surviving and start truly living.